Hey guys, what's up? My name is Anthony, and welcome to another edition of Being a Sports Talk, and this is the Tank for Trevor sweepstakes. Step on down. We have 32 teams that may be looking for a quarterback next year. And actually, realistically, it's like 5 or 6 that may be looking for a quarterback, but there's always quarterbacks in the market. I mean, we looked at earlier this year, it's just like, who's going to need a quarterback? The Redskins have Dwayne Haskins. The Giants have Daniel Jones. What would be another team? The Patriots have Tom Brady. The Panthers have Cam Newton, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh yeah, things change. So this is a series I'll be doing. We're going to check up around once a month, and maybe not too much during the offseason, but after free agency, we know what teams, where their quarterbacks are. We have a good idea. So let's just start off the Tank for Trevor sweepstakes. I think this is a good idea, and if you don't like my list, you're wrong, by the way. No, just kidding. But comment down your list. Did I miss a team, anything? And let's just begin with some honorable mentions. The one I'll mention is the Houston Texans. The main reason why I don't think that they'll pick Trevor Lawrence, they don't have a first-round draft pick next year. So even if they tank all the way down, I think the Dolphins have their number 1 overall draft pick next year. If I'm wrong about that, let me know. I don't think that the Houston Texans have their pick next year, and I think that the Houston Texans could be given up completely on Bill O'Brien. This is a team that's very fragile. We've seen teams completely give up on a coach before. You know, you traded away all these picks. You traded away all these players. You're Davion Clowney. But, Deshaun Watson's going to pull 4 or 5 games out of his ass. I don't think Bill O'Brien is a bad coach, but he's not a great coach. And you can look at it, David Johnson, they have 3 running backs, for God's sakes, and it seems like they always get injured. Then you have an offensive line with Larry Tunsil that you're not going to sign to an extension. Decent offensive line. That's like Max Sharping growing up, drafted pretty good, successful offensive line classes as of late. Cornerbacks are awful. Got rid of your defensive tackle. But before I get too much into it, my main thing is the team gives up on Bill O'Brien, but they don't have a number 1 overall pick next year. I just thought I'd mention it because Houston sucks, and I'm biased against them. Next, honorable mention is the Buffalo Bills. Now, I know what you're thinking. They're going to win the division next year. What are you kidding me? They're a top 3 candidate in the AFC to win the Super Bowl. But what if Josh Allen gets injured? And I think that's a possibility. He's shown to be a little bit fragile with concussions. His first year got banged up a little bit. He's a big-bodied guy, but I won't be surprised if he gets hurt, and the backups aren't that great. I say bring in Jameis Winston, but they're not going to listen to me. I would email them. I can call them. They're not going to listen to me. And I think that Josh Allen gets hurt. They tank. But what if Josh Allen's a little bit inaccurate? No, I think that they're going to at least win 7 games if Josh Allen is healthy his entire year. Completion around 60%. He's good for that. Interception percentage is going to go up. His touchdown percentage is going to go down, or the opposite of that. And, I think that they lost some defensive talent, but that's not enough to be the number 1 overall pick. But they could potentially be a team like the Eagles or the Rams that, trades up a big package to a team that's in the number 1 overall spot. Maybe like the Dolphins, who already have their quarterback this year. And so the next position, or the next team on my list, actually is the start of the list, I should have mentioned that, is the New England Patriots. Now, I want to mention them on the list. I feel like they deserve a spot on this list because they're going to start Jarrett Stidham next year, apparently. Now, Bill Belichick may be like, he's going to be the next Tom Brady, but you look at this entire roster, it's a bunch of old guys. Lawrence Guy. You're not even sure if Stephon Gilmore is good anymore. His last couple of games, he really fell off a cliff against Devontae Parker. It's just like he was getting torched by him. But he was the Defensive Player of the Year last year, so I highly doubt he's going to go from great to awful. And you take a look, they lost so many free agents. It's just like you're watching the team slowly disintegrate like an Endgame. It's just like half the team just left. Even the quarterback, your key piece. And if you're losing your superhero, there's nothing you can do in a way. But Bill Belichick is a great coach. He's going to win at least 7-8 games next year, even without Tom Brady. He's going to figure out a way. He's going to bring in Andy Dalton, and they're going to be fine, I think. But I'll have them number 5 on my list. There aren't too many teams that are, in contention. Number 4 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, they stuck to Gardner Minshew. But we've seen teams that stuck to a certain player. Coach gets fired. Doug Marrone almost got fired this year. You think if they go 5-11, which they perennially do, they're not going to just fire Doug Marrone and the new coach can be like, yeah, I want Trevor Lawrence, by the way, because we have the number 1 overall pick. I think that's very possible. We saw the Panthers tank towards the end of the season. They only won 5 games. That can easily happen with the Jaguars this year. They don't have really a lot of talent. On the defensive side, you do have Josh Allen. You do have Myles Jack. You may still have Yannick Ngakoue. But you lost your 2 corners. Who's going to start there? No-name guys that not even the average fan knows. They may be like cooking these guys up. They may know something we don't. They have some draft picks this year, but they're going to be a very young team. And if their coach is fired, and their offensive line is decent. Their weapons are decent. Offense is decent, but decent doesn't win games, I guess. And especially with a coach like Doug Marrone, Now, you did bring in Ben McAdoo. Is he going to revitalize or make Gardner Minshew into a first-round guy? Now, he's cheap. You could potentially be like, yeah, we're going to build this guy for the future. We're going to pay him low, and we're just going to build around him. And you may not take Trevor Lawrence, but I think they're a candidate. Number 3 is the Carolina Panthers. Now, with Matt Rule, every single place he's gone to, he started off, he just got rid of everybody. Luke Kuechly retired, not really his fault. But you picture Greg Olsen, James Bradbury, free agency. Cut your defensive tackle, your top defensive tackle pretty much. I think Geno Atkins is gone. Not Geno Atkins. Gerald McCoy is gone. You have your offensive line has some decent young pieces, but you got rid of your right guard and Trey Turner. You look at the weapons, DJ Moore, that's the only guy you can write at home about. Chris McCaffrey can only do so much as a running back. And then you have Teddy Bridgewater, who, by the way, a doctor cut up in his knee or to fix it, and he's just like, yeah, there were like no ligaments on the bone. I don't know how he, I thought I would have to amputate his leg. And forget about walking. He's playing football at this point. So it is kind of concerning. And Teddy Bridgewater filled in a good role last year, and he has Joe Brady. He's familiar with the offense, yada, yada. But again, the Matt Rule syndrome. First year, he may be tanking, and if you have a guy that's a Carolina native, bring him in. And so number 2 is the Detroit Lions. Now, when I say that, Anthony, you're like, Matt Stafford's such a big cap hit. Wait, but after this year, he's a much less cap hit. And you have a team maybe like the Patriots who are like, yeah, we tried that Jarrett Stidham thing. It didn't really work out. And you may have a team like that who wants to trade for Matt Stafford, get a bunch of picks, and then you also get a Trevor Lawrence who's ready to start day one in the NFL. Trevor Lawrence is Matt Stafford, big arm, kind of similar mobility. Bring him in. You may be like, yeah, they're going to learn from taking a guy like that. But, you have decent free agents now. You can build around a starting quarterback that's going to cost like $8 million a year for his first couple years. I think it's possible. I think that Trevor Lawrence falls right into your lap at the number 1 overall pick. And by the way, Matt Patricia isn't a good coach. The Bill O'Brien syndrome, players might give up. Matt Patricia is not aggressive enough. You take a look at the linebackers who were supposed to be great for them. They underperformed. 2 out of the bottom 5 linebackers last year. I thought he was a defensive coach. Got rid of Darius Slay. Now the team may completely give up on him. Decent offensive weapons. Pretty good offensive line. Even though I think you got rid of your center. But you brought in a right tackle from the Eagles. You overpaid for him. And yeah, this team, bottom line, may give up on Matt Patricia. Let's not get too deep in the weeds. The number 1 team. Who's the number 1 team? It's the Washington Redskins. Players already don't want to play for Dwayne Haskins. Wide receivers, people are like, oh, I'm just glad he's in the room and studying. That's not a good sign. Daniel Jones, he's working out at Duke, may have gotten the coronavirus because there were like 5 or 10 football players from Duke who got tested positive. So hopefully Daniel Jones didn't catch it when he was there. But other than that, Dwayne Haskins, limited wide receiver core. They're young. You have a bunch of guys. Terry McLaurin. Then you have the 2 guys with the same last name. I forget that I don't know too many players in the Washington Redskins. Then but your offensive line, Eric Flowers, gone. Trent Williams, he didn't play last year, but he'll be gone. And you won't have him to protect Dwayne Haskins. And Brandon Sheriff has had injury problems. The offensive line was a little bit too healthy last year, it almost feels like. But they always get battered with injury as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Redskins, everyone on the offensive line gets injured. Dwayne Haskins, it's open season for him. Adrian Peterson, another year old. And I don't really believe in their running back depth. Darius Geis, I think they end up cutting. And you take a look at this defense, great defensive line, but if you can't score points, you can't win games. Chase Young, Ryan Kerrigan, Montez Sweat, Deron Payne, we all know those names. Corners are young and bad. He cut Josh Norman, who wasn't good anyway, but the Washington Redskins are number 1 on my list. So that's it. That's my list. So don't ask me to recap because I kind of forgot the entire list. So I think it was 5 Patriots, 4 Jaguars, 3 Carolina Panthers, was that them? And then 2 Lions, 1 Redskins. Let me know what you guys think. Did a team deserve to be higher, lower? Is there a team that I mentioned, like the Bengals, who are just going to move on for Joe Burrow first year, that I didn't mention? Anyway, all comments are welcomed. Besides you, Joe, you can't comment. Just kidding. But I'll see you guys in my next video. I'm serious, Joe. Bye, guys.